The much talked about company with the Chinese parent, Gland Pharma's IPO subscription response was quite tepid when you compare it with the recent entrants. However, Gland Pharma eventually listed at a 14% premium, and that was on last Friday and closed 21% higher than the issue price of 1,500 rupees. Let's do a three-point analysis to really find out what should investors do post this kind of a listing. 1. Revisit the business model of the company. Well, the company's primary business model is B2B, that is business to business, covering IP-led technology transfer, and also if you see the contract manufacturing models as well with leading pharmaceutical companies, that is such as Sagent. Also when you talk about Apotex, Fresenius Kabi and Athenex. Now about 95 to 97% of its revenue actually comes from the B2B arrangements. Now if you also see the remainder actually comes from the B2C business, that is business to consumer, wherein it actually engages in direct marketing of its brands in India. Now in the B2B models, it has a profit sharing or a royalty accretion arrangements, and that is due to either IP ownership or R&D investment. Now in case of the former, the company's R&D team really develops the product and licenses it out to marketing partners, while in the latter's case, the product is jointly developed and then the relevant technology is actually transferred. Now now that you see the dominance of profit and royalty sharing aspect in the kind of business model that the company has, that distinguishes Gland Pharma from the other contract manufacturers. Now the CMO model is primarily just limited to India. Now we have already seen strong operating performance in the recent past for the company. If you see the top line CAGR for the last 3 years, that has been about a 27% plus. Then EBITDA margin also ranged from about 35 to 50%. Also interestingly, the cash flow generation from operations has also been quite sufficient to meet the capex needs over the years. 2. What's the outlook going forward for the company? Well, if you see, while heparin actually still constitutes about 1/6 of the revenues for the company, Gland Pharma is also now one of a kind in the global injectable space, and that is something to be watched out for. Now, according to IQVIA report, the global injectables market is estimated to be about $445 billion in say 2020, and that is growing at a CAGR of approximately 9.8% say from 2015 to 2020. Now, the market share by value of injectables has actually grown to 40%. That is from 33% back in 2015. Now, rising prevalence of the chronic diseases, wherein injectables also have a major role to play in treatment and drug delivery, that is a case in point you need to consider. Now, most chemotherapy drugs and new age treatments of say diabetes are actually delivered through injectables. Now, IQVIA expects the injectable generic segment to actually grow at a 16% growth rate in the next 5 years, that is up to 2025. Now, Gland Pharma also has 267 ANDA filings in US, of which 215 were approved. Going forward, it plans to have or file again 2025 ANDAs each year. Also expects 10% of the revenue to come from these new products that will be filed. Now further, it also plans to develop and manufacture the capabilities in peptides, also in long-acting injectables, in fermentation, and also in the hormonal products, as well as the new delivery systems as well, such as pens and cartridges as well. Now the company is gradually increasing its injectable portfolio, which will also help in better negotiation with the intermediaries in US pharma market as well. Now if you see 3, what should investors really do? Let's focus on for the short term first. Now for the short term investors, this appears to be a good opportunity to really book gains after the listing gains have been captured in. But for the long haul, we remain quite constructive on this steady earnings compounder, and investors can actually look to accumulate during the market wide gyrations that we are seeing currently. And as and when the COVID vaccine related positive news flow will come in, we will see that the pharma sector might witness some bit of profit taking, and that could be an exact time or a good opportunity for investors to really accumulate good pharma entities or names.